Hello and welcome back to the Level 1 News. Today is February 23rd and we're doing business and robot information today.
And it's brought to you by Linode.
First story this week.
And a lot of you have already pointed this out and tweeted to us and posted on all of our various things. Yes, we are aware that Linode is being bought out. We're not sure exactly what that means yet.
Yeah.
We're not in the inner circle.
They didn't run this past us when they did it. I don't know why.
They didn't ask our opinion on this.
Almost $1 billion.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have anything like this. They want to get into this whole industry. So
I've certainly noticed Akamai trying to do Linode things in the past, but
now, one thing about Linode, they have, from what we've heard from our people, most people are happy with it.
yeah.
The most complaints I've heard about Linode are they won't take cryptocurrency as payment and they won't take my credit card from, the Czech Republic or wherever.
It turns out that there's a secret blacklist of credit cards that PayPal mostly maintains, and if you're on that blacklist, even though it's not PayPal necessarily, they won't take a credit card.
So we've always been very happy that it seems like they're not monsters. Now, will this change them into monsters? We don't know, but we'll try to keep an eye on it.
Akamai to acquire Linode to provide businesses with a developer-friendly and massively distributed platform to build, run, and secure applications. Well, we've been doing that with Linode since they were a wee tiny company, the better part of a decade, in fact, that I've been using Linode anyway. And you can get $100 off if you're just signing up, and you can do tutorials, and we've written tutorials, and there's all kinds of videos, and WireGuard, and self-host your own VPN.
They've sponsored our Minecraft server.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, a Minecraft server that's amazing and full of people dumping thousands of hours into Minecraft. The save file for it is like 35 gigabytes.
Yeah, people were like, can we get a copy of the world? And I was like, ooh.
I mean, that's fine. It's just a 35 gig file.
It's going to be huge.
I just watched that video the other day, and I was astonished by that last one.
The one
egg
thing,
the underwater. Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
That's crazy.
That's the weirdest build I've ever seen that anyone has done on our server, but also that I've seen in any other server I've been on.
Now we know that there's something you can do to sort of template that stuff before you start building, even on the server. Do you think he did that, or was that all free?
I kind of wonder if it was free, because some of the other people who've talked about how they did their builds, like they showed the tools and how they used to map out the blocks, but we didn't get anything like that for his submission.
Yeah, and it was all asymmetric. So
Yeah, like even each of the holes, when I was looking at it, they're not exactly uniform. So I think it was all organically done by hand.
If you haven't checked out that video yet, that is an amazing Minecraft build.
There's also a forum thread if you want to look at pictures too.
It's the last one, but they're all impressive.
Yeah.
But the last one really stood out.
It was hard to judge this year. There were a few that just barely got edged out because they were all really
But
great.
was there any question in your mind that was number one?
Yeah, I think that was number one from the start. There were some other contenders, but I think that was always going to be number one.
You know what we should do with that Minecraft build? We should turn it into an NFT.
No, it's the top prize winners on the Minecraft side, somebody's computer died or whatever, like last year, and so some of the winners have pooled their prizes into a thing, and so we're sending that to somebody else for the prize, and it's basically a whole machine.
The Minecraft server is so socialist.
It really is. I love it.
There's a lot of heartwarming stuff that comes out.
It is kind of heartwarming.
There's a lot of like group builds too. Like, hey, do you need certain kinds of blocks? Come to this coordinate, and someone will have built like a little shrine where you can go pick it up out of a chest.
And over-engineer the shrine just to improve your experience as you come there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you clip through the ground, there's just this elaborate machine that's stuffing the chests from below.
Yeah.
Something.
And then there's like a rail system to get to that area in case you're wanting to get from the spawn.
Linode made all that possible, so check out that coupon.
Now, in a place like the Level 1 Minecraft server, something like an NFT might not be a terrible thing because it's such a wholesome place. People could trade them, they could be happy, they might actually enjoy them. A place that's not as wholesome and won't lead to good outcomes,
Decidedly.
the New York Stock Exchange.
Fast Company reports the New York Stock Exchange files for a trademark for an NFT marketplace. It's going to compete against the likes of OpenSea. This is the darkest timeline.
I'm so tired of NFT stories.
I mean, there's, if anything, like Reddit Wall Street Bets is exposing the level of corruption that exists in and around the machinery in the whole stock system.
Corruption in the stock market, you say? Oh, no.
Yeah.
We haven't known about that for 40 years. But, yeah, it's, well, I mean, the central banks are much worse. Reddit should talk about that. But it's coming, and oh, boy, do we not want it. No one wants it. Oh, it's terrible. But some things that companies, especially big companies, do want are other chip companies. They just want to gobble them up because everybody knows that chips are the hottest thing in the world right now.
Intel to buy Tower Semiconductor for $5.4 billion. This is going to give Intel additional capacity for what they call like fab partners. Like if you partner with Intel to have them make your stuff, it's going to be made possibly but by Tower Semiconductor. So Intel's bringing a lot of their intellectual property, and Tower Semiconductors are bringing their facilities, which I guess Intel's, this is not supposed to close for a year, but Intel in some of their like investor briefing and like stockholder briefings acts as though they're getting started with this right away.
Yeah, they already were in the building.
Yeah.
Working with the engineers. It's like, oh no, this is definitely going to happen.
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't close for a year, but we're doing stuff right now. So
Now, if you're a plucky politician and you want to get some concessions from Intel, threaten that. But they're not the only one. It turns out all the big tech companies are trying to gobble up other companies. In a lot of ways, they're getting smacked down, but this one will probably be okay.
Yeah. AMD has finally closed its Xilinx deal. First product's expected in 2023. AMD's been working on this for a year and a half, 2 years, at least a year. It feels like a very long time. These are the folks that make FPGAs, and they have there's a lot of synergy opportunity here for AMD doing their thing and Xilinx doing their thing for combined products. And the innovation that comes with combining apples and oranges type of semiconductors.
Now, I feel like we can sort of pat ourselves on the shoulders here because we were definitely one of the voices that were saying, this is stupid and we shouldn't be doing it. Now, I didn't stop anybody from trying, but the good news is they failed spectacularly. Why? Because it was stupid and they shouldn't have been doing it.
How SoftBank's costly bet on the Internet of Things backfired at ARM. Chip designer changes strategy ahead of the planned IPO with a renewed focus on servers. ARM's like, we're everywhere. We want to be in everything. And it's like, do you really want to be in a Furby? I mean...
Well, I think what happened
That's probably like the least horrifying option, and that's scary to think about.
I think people just said, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't need these devices.
It's just going to break in a few years, and then I'm going to have to try to replace it.
Remember the stats on Alexa?
Yeah.
And people would buy Alexa and use it for 2 months and then never turn it on again.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid.
What a waste of materials.
Yeah, those chips, those valuable chips.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
They just go sit in a landfill.
This is one of the stories that should be the source of the title for this week, although there's maybe not. There's another story that's really good later.
Yeah,
the phrase they used is good.
Dino babies is a hell of a buzzword, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of contradictory.
Yeah.
I guess you're trying to point them out as old but immature.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. You're definitely trying to dehumanize here.
IBM sued for age discrimination. Now, this is a follow-up to a follow-up to a follow-up to a thing that's been in a slow-moving train wreck for a number of years that we've covered. But the bombs that are dropping from the lawsuit, there's some emails. There's some really, really kind of damning emails.
Incendiary, you would even say.
And this case is not going to go well for IBM. Oh, Lord.
Egregious age discrimination. And it's hard for them to dispute it. Now, in terms of legality, I think some of this stuff is okay in a lot of places, but not everywhere that IBM operates.
Yeah.
So geographically, they could get hit really hard in some places for this.
Emails show executives labeling older employees dino babies who need to be extinct.
Which sounds to me like a death threat.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
These old dino babies don't have any idea what they're doing.
Especially if in the past 2 years, because the dino babies would be more vulnerable than everybody else.
Yeah.
Wonder if that'll come into play.
I feel like in the tech industry, when you have a dino baby in a position like that, there's a little bit of fear to get rid of them because they know where the bodies are buried usually.
Yeah.
But kind of belittling them, that seems like maybe a mistake.
And they know how to fix the things that the other people might not.
Yeah.
The things that get fixed in ways that are completely counter to reason and logic.
Yeah.
Because you have some horrible thing at IBM that's been built.
And they know the reason that it was built that way and how to fix it.
Only the dinosaurs know. Plus, after they're dead, you can use their bodies for fuel.
The other thing that IBM is going to fail on here is they're going to say that this part of the workforce didn't have the skills that we needed because things are evolving, blah, blah, blah. But they could retrain, and they declined to retrain. So they still needed the positions filled. They just they weren't willing to do any retraining or to work with the old employees, or even some of the old employees that were willing to retrain on their own.
Well, you know who has also not been willing to retrain a lot? The Linux community. They fight so hard to not have new video stuff. But Gabe Newell, the god among men, is changing all that with the Steam Deck. And because he's revolutionizing it, the big companies who have ignored it up until now are saying, maybe we should look into this.
Intel Thread Director is headed to Linux for a major boost in Alder Lake performance. So right now, with Alder Lake on Linux, they basically co-opted the structures that have to do with Turbo Boost Max 3, which doesn't work on an i5 if you have an i5. But for the i9, not all motherboards report the ACPI tables for that correctly. So this is a thing that's going to be completely overhauling the way that works, because otherwise you're not really getting all your performance out of Alder Lake on Intel, or the performance is inconsistent on Linux for Alder Lake. So it's very weird.
But they're going to fix it. And another thing that Intel is going to do for you, and oh boy, were they careful in this article to be like, now this is not going to destroy the climate. It's not going to waste chips. It's not going to do that.
I don't know.
Definitely not going to do that, but we're making a Bitcoin ASIC. Now wait, no. It's not going to use chips, I promise.
Intel to enter Bitcoin mining market with energy-efficient hardware. The goal is to create the most energy-efficient blockchain mining ASIC with minimal impact on chip supplies.
Minimal doesn't mean no, correct?
So maybe we'll have video cards after all?
I guess it would, but if this is a super hot item, will they just make this instead of video cards? I guess because the other company makes most of the video cards, then maybe that'd be good for us, right?
Yeah.
And we have seen Microsoft go back and forth on this over and over and over. This is not new to Windows 11.
No.
But it does seem like it's getting progressively more and more severe.
You'll need a Microsoft account to set up future versions of Windows 11 Pro. Like the ARM thing with the Internet of Things thing, this is stupid. The algorithm demands that you make your thing as awful as possible up to, but just before the point that everybody gives up in horrible frustration. Why? Because that'll drive your analytics. Think of the analytics numbers. It's like so many people have signed up for Bing or Microsoft or whatever. We've captured so many users. We're getting so much good traction of new users. Microsoft can go to shareholders and say, look, people love our products because they're signing up. They're literally held hostage. You have no choice.
They just put duct tape over your mouth and they ask you questions and you're,
And then they interpret them however they want.
Yeah.
Oh, you love it, huh? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. You would like more Microsoft accounts? Well, let's sign you up for another one.
Yeah.
So they point out the thing to do is create a throwaway Microsoft account. Go ahead and do that now. And sign up with that, and then create a local account and never look at that Microsoft account again.
Again, that still juices their analytics numbers. So somebody that's looking at that dashboard somewhere is like, this was a very successful change. Look at the user engagement and participation that we had from this.
Also, I have the Xbox Game Pass because it's just such a deal that I can't pass it up. But as soon as you associate your account with that, because you have to, Windows is like, oh, let me just retroactively apply that to the entire operating system.
It's funny that you say that because I'm in the same problem, and I've noticed that the pop-ups for that are getting more weaselly and misleading. The most recent one was like, do you not want to not associate your Microsoft account with your login account? And it's like,
yes, no, maybe.
And then when you mouse over no, the button moves. What?
Yeah, it's just.
Now, if you did not watch Tuesday's program, please do so now. Please pause this and watch the Tuesday program, because we discussed something about this, which was the team executor sentencing. The man got 3 years in prison. What did he do? He allowed you to run arbitrary software, whatever you wanted, on a Nintendo Switch. Now, there's obviously nefarious reasons to do that. Theft, whatever. But there are some places or some situations where maybe that's the only way you can get a certain Nintendo product, because Nintendo, despite having this astonishing back catalog,
You own that device. You should be able to run whatever the heck you want on that device.
I bought Mario Brothers in what, 1985 or 6 or whatever. I should own it forever. But no, they want $13 annually for Super Mario Brothers, and it's not changing.
Nintendo is closing the 3DS and Wii U shops in 2023 and has, quote-unquote, no plans to offer classic content in other ways. They would like to drip feed you this via subscription.
Now, Nintendo, up until this article was posted on Tuesday, they had a section on their FAQ on their website that says, doesn't Nintendo have an obligation to preserve its classic games?
Deleted.
Then they had an explanation for that. That's gone.
Of course it's gone. You know what? I can still play the Oregon Trail for the Apple II on the Internet Archive. By gum, that's the way it'll be from now until the end of time.
The way it was meant to be experienced.
How has no one not remade the Oregon Trail as an open world survival game?
I think there are some indie, reimaginings of the Oregon Trail. There's one, I don't know if it ever came out, but somebody was doing like a cyberpunk film noir thing for the Oregon Trail.
That's not what I want.
No, that seemed amazing, though. The trailer was incredible.
I want classic Oregon Trail.
Dysentery, poop in my pants,
First
crossing
person,
a river.
Yeah, first, but you got to manage the cart. That could be a great game.
You know what game that we played recently that gave me the Oregon Trail feels? Faster Than Light.
You played Faster Than Light recently?
Mm-hmm.
That game's got to be, 5-6 years old at this point?
Yeah. It feels like Oregon Trail.
It's a fantastic
But
game.
in space.
Yeah. Oregon Trail was kind of like the first roguelike, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, but it was good. It was good. It was simpler.
We had a single computer in my first grade classroom, and we all got to take turns playing Oregon Trail on
Oregon Trail and Shoplifter.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I tried introducing some people to Rogue after, that whole thing, and it was just eyes glazed over. It's like, this is not fun. I was like, this is an incredible amount of fun. It's like, no, let's go play Oregon Trail. All right. Sounds good.
Different things for different people. And Google is trying something a little different than what Apple did, but we don't know how different yet, because we really don't know anything about it, except that they promise it won't be as bad as what Apple did. Even though a lot of people don't think what Apple did was bad, they think it was great because it hurt people like Google.
New York Times, Google plans privacy changes but promises not to be disruptive. There is the non-paywall version of this article was kind of long and didn't really have anything substantive. I didn't find any versions of this article that had anything other than Google saying maybe they're going to sandbox some applications. But there is some code changes to Android, especially in Android 13, that really support that. Android 13 looks like it's going to have full tilt virtualization. So you may actually be able to run applications on an Android device in little application sandboxes, which would be great. We've said that they should have done that for years. If you actually can run applications in sandboxes and there's not an API interface to do stuff, then that'll be good. Oh yeah, and our next stories, Android 13 virtualization hacks runs Windows and Doom in a VM on Android, so this is cool.
But here's the thing about this. This is not supposed to be available to you yet.
Yeah.
Some guy found it.
Yeah.
They are going to do everything they can to lock this out. Because that's not what they want this for.
Maybe. But
I guarantee it.
I think that if they're planning to use this for application sandboxing, that'd be great. It's like, yeah, run Facebook in it. I feel like I have to do this now with games. Like running Windows games in a Windows sandbox on my Linux machine through virtualization feels safer to me because Epic, we've got the Fortnite story later. It's like there's a reason Fortnite's not coming to Linux, and that's because it's doing stuff in the background to gather data. And on Linux, that would not fly, and it would be really easy to detect.
But everything you virtualize in Linux on your phone takes it from their view.
Yeah.
They're not going to allow that.
I think that Google has to allow that if they want to operate in the EU. I think that's their only move.
It'll take 6 years for that to happen.
Probably.
By then, we'll have a totally different kind of phone.
Yeah, maybe.
By then, we'll be raiding the wasteland for scrap metal.
Exactly. Phones will be religious items.
That phone has a copy of Wikipedia on it? Ah!
Or better yet.
You got any games on your phone?
Shoplifter.
What's the name of the dungeon game?
Oh.
Pixel Dungeon?
Pixel
Yeah.
Dungeon.
Yeah.
What would the last copy of Pixel Dungeon with a battery that still has 40% life left? Google is also offering some of their old technology for ancient and computers that you might have just thrown away. And certainly in these dark times of chip shortages, it's time to haul those things back out, right?
Google is bringing Chrome OS to PCs and Macs. So you can try this on a USB drive. It's in beta right now. Everything, blah, blah, blah. You should definitely check this out. And this is also going to be supported by Google Enterprise. So if you want to run Google in the Enterprise, you can totally do this. Here's why I think this is brilliant. Microsoft is deprecating everything older than 8th gen Intel, and even some things that are newer, because the person that built the computers is not going to provide a BIOS that enables TPM or that has reasonable defaults. So all of those people that have computers that are perfectly fine and reasonable, that don't find Linux an option for whatever reason, they can install this and have something supported from Google. So it's I think that Microsoft has made an error here.
Or if you have an older family member and they need a computer, but you just can't get decent computers anymore, and you're like, you know what? I've got an old laptop. Let me throw the Chrome OS on there. Get them on Facebook.
Yeah, that would be great. Probably less susceptible to malware than Windows 10 will be or is.
Well, here is a very damning expose.
This has been a saga. I've been watching this trend on Twitter on and off for like a week.
It is just an amazing amount of work, and also just so many hate naps.
And they have responded to this, and I would say that everything they have responded with has been an absolute lie.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Because there's no defending this.
Yeah. Newegg apologized for well-documented customer service fails, says it has enacted better policies.
That's a lie.
Yeah. Steve from Gamers Nexus. Oh man, they I don't think they rolled a 1. Like, how do you roll less than you roll and the dice explode? Putting your eye out with shrapnel. I mean, it's less than a 1 that they rolled.
So let's just do a quick recap here. They bought an open box motherboard, ended up not using it and not even touching it, sending it back. When they sent it back, the inspector said, this is horribly damaged. It's damaged beyond repair. You damaged this. And they said, we never opened it. You sold it to us damaged. And there was a big problem. And until they started making videos about it on YouTube, on a channel that has a lot of viewers, no one cared. After they did that, Newegg really started to
Suddenly
care.
they reached out, yeah.
Newegg sent them the motherboard back, and it had the RMA sticker on it, and it was returned to Gigabyte. I think it was a Gigabyte board. And Gigabyte said, yeah, the socket was damaged. And that was before they bought it.
So they didn't even open it between the Gigabyte return and the sale to Gamers Nexus.
Yeah.
And then Gamers Nexus also didn't open it and sent it back. And it's just hilarious that this garbage motherboard floated around all these different places. Nobody damaged it other than the original purchaser. And
who probably also didn't get their money back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that motherboard is just, every time it goes out, it was making Newegg $500. It's no wonder they didn't want to fix that.
So maybe stay away from the Newegg open box categories.
Yeah.
I love when something like that happens to Steve, because he doesn't let go either. Like, he's flying out to headquarters, and I think right now he's camped out in their parking lot. Like, we can talk, but we're going to talk on camera. And so the executives are like,
please tell me he's not honking his horn. My God, that would be terrorism.
If that happens, I'll pay his bail. It's fine.
I don't get bail for that. That's a secret court. But you know what you don't get a secret court for? Literally working with terrorists.
Ericsson investigates in-house bribery scandal tied to ISIS.
I like that you said it like a question, because it does kind of feel that way when you read the headline.
So Ericsson, they want to do business in Iraq, and it turns out to do business in Iraq, you gotta
talk to them.
Gotta grease some palms. Was that wrong? Should we not have done that?
Well, when you grease palms, and then that grease might run into a slush fund that buys weapons or bombs.
How do we do business in Iraq? We were just there.
Let's face it, though, all of the Ericsson tax dollars that go to the Western countries are also used to buy bombs.
I feel like if you're a company and you're doing business in Iraq, it's like the situation that I get in when, like, my hard drives are full and I go to the drawer of old hard drives, and it's like, I could use this 2 terabyte hard drive for a little while. Meanwhile, there's like a petabyte of space over here, and it's like, do I really need another 2 terabytes of space? Is it worth the hassle of getting this drive out and hooking it up? And then it's basically a thimble full of information at this point. Why am I even bothering with that? It's kind of like Iraq. It's like, how much business can there really be in Iraq? Is that really worth bothering with?
I think it is, yeah, because a market that's untapped like that, you get immediately massive growth, and then those people are also going to be addicted to your product right away because you know you have an addictive product. Yeah, and they're going to start running all their communication through it. They're going to start consuming all their media through it. They're going to start putting their payments through it.
There's no laws to stop how extensively we exploit that.
Fantastic. You definitely want that. I'm not sure that I want this though. I couldn't help but think about, like, how often are you on a tech support call with somebody and you're trying to spell out a web address or an email address or something?
And it's impossible.
And it's very difficult to do. How much more difficult will that be in this situation?
Opera browser now allows emoji-only web addresses. I think this is great. Maybe the Pirate Bay and some other websites will show up there, and then the lawyers can't figure it out. That'd be great.
I'm trying to figure out what the header image here, like, what is it trying to communicate to me?
Spock, cross, spaceship, spiderweb eyes.
What does it mean, chat?
Live long and prosper and rocket spiders into your face.
Oh, that's a terrible website.
So you can already do this. What is it? It's y.at. So if you do a y.at address, like Kesha's World, you can go to that. But Opera is making it so you don't have to add the y.at. You can just go straight to
emojis.
Rainbow Rocket Alien. Everybody loves Rocket, huh?
I guess. It is a popular emoji.
Cryptocurrency is definitely popular. More and more people are getting into it, but it raises a lot of questions about ownership and security and tax rules, and most people aren't ready for that. Then other things happen in their lives, and you got to think about what happens to the crypto.
Divorced couples now fight over kids, the house, and now crypto. The New York Times talks about several cases where mysterious, weird things happen with the crypto, and it's like, oh, did it disappear in the Mt. Gox destruction? Is it just gone? Do we have less than we thought? Do we have more than we thought? Oops, there's a Monero wallet.
It's easy to lose crypto.
Yeah.
And then you have to think about, like, does it still exist as an asset if no one can get to it?
The IRS would say yes.
Yeah.
I think so would most people on the other side of the divorce.
Yeah.
What a weird edge case. There's no case law about that, really.
Well, there's going to be right after that one settles. I imagine the wife will get half of it, right?
Well, it's usually either way.
Well,
either spouse, you
according
usually
to that,
get half.
the big one, the judge said that the guy had to give her all of what he had because the half that he lost in Mt. Gox
was crazy. Yeah, that's crazy, right?
So
I guess it was a marital asset which he fumbled, but don't we operate on the principle that the wife is part of everything? Even when she's not?
Apparently it's because the fumble happened during the divorce.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really, if you're going to get divorced, it's smart just to cut everything down the middle and put it in escrow or something.
Yeah.
And that way there's no...
The lawyers would certainly have liked that.
Well, Lost Ark, I got to say, Lost Ark is a video game. I look at it and I'm like, I have no interest in this. I don't care about any of this, but...
Give me my Space Oregon Trail.
House Flipper has changed me in the sense that I won't just discount a game right off the bat, because I would have, you showed me House Flipper, I'd be like, get that out of here. There's no way I would ever.
But
be
it's so
interested in
good.
that.
It's so addictive.
But House Flipper kept me engaged for some time. I didn't get into it like Krista did.
Yeah, I was really into it for a little bit.
But can I discount this? Maybe we should check out Lost Ark. I don't know.
Lost Ark becomes the second most played in Steam history after just 24 hours.
This seems maybe a little premature.
I still don't understand exactly what it is other than just a generic MMO.
Yeah. Well, and there's probably a lot of people who are checking out streamers playing it right now too. So we'll see if they keep those numbers for more than like a month.
Meanwhile, Icarus is, no, come back.
Yeah, Icarus had a huge number like that. They blew up for like a week and then everyone just stopped playing.
Because Icarus doesn't start to really make you hate it till you get to those later missions.
Right,
Yeah.
and we don't know that about Lost Ark yet.
But Lost Ark is also free.
Right.
That's probably part of it, right? I don't think you could ever compete with a non-free game as the number one ever.
But didn't Amazon made this, right? So they're probably promoting it on Twitch and with influencers and...
They didn't make it. It was popular in Asia, and they got it and made some changes and localized it, I think.
and now have their marketing machine behind it.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And Twitch, imagine how much the Twitch algorithm
boosts this.
gives you more if you're playing an Amazon game, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll see if those numbers keep up. I think it's a little premature to be like, woohoo!
And it's great to compare and contrast. On one hand, we have Amazon, the gaming company, who is horrible. Most of their games are terrible, or they're this kind of thing, which seems like just, like addictive stuff. And then on the other side, we've got Gaben, Lord Gaben, who is maybe the only...
A blessing to PC gamers.
I know where you're going with this. Sony, the PS3 or the PS5 covers. That is the perfect antithesis to this. You know the PS5?
I'm not hip to the PS5 covers. Let's do the headline first.
Valve releases the Steam Deck CAD files, allowing anybody to 3D print custom shells. Meanwhile, Sony sued the ever-loving bejesus out of D-Brand for making PS5 shells. Do you see the difference between these two companies?
And yet somehow Steam, with all their pro customer stuff, they don't end up losing a ton of money.
No.
They end up
It's weird how that happens.
just bagging it up day after day, trying to get rid of it.
They used to make games and now they make money.
I'm coming to the hypothesis that because copyright law has been so extended and so perverted, there's like a century long, I think people need a wide berth on exceptions to copyright law because it's so extreme. And we have companies like Nintendo and Sony that are basically kleptomaniacs trying to get as much as they can out of the public domain. These things will never enter the public domain. Meanwhile, if you make an invention and you invent something, that patent is only good for 20 years, and then anybody can come and do anything that they want with it. Why is Mario worth more than like a flushing toilet?
And if you make an invention that makes their products a little bit more palatable, you'll go to prison for 3 years.
Team executor.
And another thing that you've mentioned in the past, Wendell, is that some of the modern gaming world, some of the business model of the most popular modern games, it's not that the game isn't compatible with Linux. It's not that we don't have the video power to run this on Linux. Those problems have been solved. The problem is the game's monetary system, at its heart, cannot tolerate the liberty that is in Linux. Similar to how Justin Trudeau cannot tolerate liberty. Fortnite also cannot.
Does seem to have a really severe allergy, doesn't he? It's a little bit. So Fortnite for Linux isn't happening. Vivo NEX 5 specs leaked and MAME turns 25. This is from Lilbits.
This was a paywall alternative. It's a combo headline. We're really only concerned about Fortnite.
Fortnite for Linux, the copy protection. So Epic makes the engine, the 3D engine, and the copyright protection, cheat protection stuff is coming to Linux because that's a big customer of Epic's. But Fortnite, the game that is implemented with that engine, is not coming to Linux. And Tim Sweeney says it's because it's too hard to support those users. My hypothesis is that Linux will lay bare just how insidious what Fortnite is doing in the background because it's a free-to-play game. It'll be a lot easier to detect that in Linux, and there will be a lot more people on Linux that are outraged at what it's doing, whereas, your 12-year-old cousin doesn't care. They just want to play the game, and, they don't really care if it's doing really insidious things in the background. That's why Fortnite is not coming to Linux, not the copy protection.
Disgusting. But isn't it good for Linux that we never get Fortnite? Do we want those people?
I mean, if cheating...
If it's the gateway drug to Linux, maybe.
Barrier to entry is sometimes a good thing.
Yeah, well,
Linux has too much.
If it really was the case that too many people are cheating in Linux, just mark their account different somehow. You know how you have like the console icon and the PC icon and some of the... where it's like mixed players? But also you have to have an account. So just ban the account, ban the IP address. You already have tools for dealing with those things.
But then that looks bad because they lose players.
That might work. But that's a lot of infrastructure. That's a lot of time you have to spend dealing with those people. And those are not people you want to deal with. Well, past couple of years, we've had a lot of social movements here in the U.S., some of them more successful than others, and there have been a lot of corporate money that was pledged, as the Washington Examiner points out, a lot of it actually never got donated, which is funny because several big companies came out and they were like, yes, we support you and we're pledging this amount. They never cut the check. Yeah. Never even thought about it. But one company that did was Amazon. They seem to be regretting it.
The Washington Examiner reports that Amazon has booted Black Lives Matter off of Amazon Smile as scrutiny intensifies. 306 million. So Amazon Smile is this thing on your Amazon account. You can say, hey, give a few extra pennies from all of my transactions to these charities or these good causes or these whatever. Black Lives Matter was one of those things that you could pick, and that accrued $306 million. Enough people picked that $306 million accrued at Amazon. But there have been some investigations and maybe some embezzling and maybe some fraud. Don't know. But Amazon's not going to be cutting the check.
Well, we were scheduled to find out all the dirty details, but they used an accounting trick. They changed their fiscal year to give them another 6 months. So now we have to wait another 6 months. But we will eventually see it. Now, it's interesting that Intel pledged $1 million to a variety of social groups, including BLM, never paid it. Cisco, big press release, $5 million just for BLM. Never paid it.
We do that for all kinds of social causes. It's frustrating because all they want is the headline.
Well, they saved themselves a little bit of an embarrassing headline later on, didn't they?
I guess.
We have all heard about electric cars being too silent. They can creep up on you, similar to a black hole, and
you never know.
Catch you off guard and just take you down at the knees. And so to combat that, noises were added. At low speeds, your electric vehicle needs to make some kind of noise. Musk, who is a brilliant marketer, figured out a way to make that into a meme and make it into a bunch of news headlines. And I have to, a rare case of me agreeing with him. It's stupid not to let people do this.
Musk blames the fun police for recall of a feature that makes fart noises and goat noises.
Or whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
Yeah, I guess they were concerned about safety, but wouldn't hearing any kind of strange noise make people turn around and look?
Is this wildly different from the people who drive around the General Lees that make what's the name of that song? Something Dixie.
Oh yeah, something Dixie. I don't know. I guess I don't know.
So you can only use the default approved
list of sounds, like ringtones for your car.
I think it's like a fake running sound.
And no more farts. And if you have, so some people actually already got this feature, your farts have to be removed. Your farts have to be recalled.
300,000 vehicles.
Oh, that should be the title of the episode, Farts Recalled.
And Wordle, Krista, are you still on the Wordle hype?
I'm still playing Wordle. Yesterday or today, yeah, I guess it was today's word. I played it late. The word was bullshit today. It was a double letter word.
That's too many letters, Krista.
No, it was, actually I can say it because, they haven't seen it. The word was dodge. Which, two Ds, no. I hate words like that.
Why is that not allowed?
No, it's fine. It's just annoying because, sometimes you're not sure if it has two letters because you'll get one green mark or whatever on one letter, and then it's like, oh, okay, I don't need to put another letter in.
Sounds like you're a filthy Wordle casual.
Yeah, it took me all the guesses to get dodge today.
Well, that's not the only thing that is different about your Wordle experience, Krista, because now that the New York Times has taken over, they're making some changes.
There's a slew of ad tracking tech on the New York Times' own Wordle, a game that once lauded for having none at all.
It was literally the simplest concept in existence, and now it takes a second to load, and it's just full of trackers.
It's always fun when you work on the plain HTML web page that's 3 kilobytes of HTML and 180 kilobytes of ad tracking nonsense. It's
yeah.
just
we had a client recently who were like, the site's kind of slow, why? And we were like, you've got 10 trackers on here, that's going to happen.
Yeah, that was funny.
So just press F12, click on that console link at the top of that tab. You can see it for yourself. You can see what Wordle is doing to spy on you. Maybe you'll stop using it.
Sad panda.
And moving on to the robot world, DeepMind. What are they doing this week? Are they beating a video game? Well, yeah, but we'll talk about that later. More importantly, they are changing the future of energy.
DeepMind has trained an AI to control nuclear fusion. Google-backed firm has taught a reinforcement learning algorithm to control the fiery plasma inside a tokamak nuclear fusion reactor.
Something about that made me nervous. Just
Well, the good news about it is these can't melt down, because once it loses control of these blobs here, they just dissipate into the atmosphere. But the middle of this blob, the white part, is hotter than the surface of the sun. So it's very important that it not touch the metal. And
Right.
that's what the AI is figuring out. How to use magnets to control that blob. If we can do that, maybe we have free energy.
It was actually doing it surprisingly well. It's really hard to model this, and we don't really have a great, fast way to do this, so that the AI is able to do this as efficiently as it is. Genuinely very impressive. It's also a dynamic system, a dynamic analog system. It's constantly changing, so it's not just a matter of reading in some sensors and then applying an algorithm. The AI is the algorithm.
And if that AI miscalculates or something goes wrong with it, could
No,
be
it's
bad.
not catastrophic. It'll destroy the
This is
equipment.
the equipment, but yeah.
Yeah.
We won't end up with a black hole.
Well, hopefully.
Well, we know that's always a possibility. No matter what you're doing, there's always a chance for a black hole.
Honestly, I think it's more dangerous if this works than if it doesn't work, because geopolitics will react very negatively to free energy. Think about what's going on right now in Russia and the U.S. Russia's entire power is based on their energy.
It's funny that you say that, because I was following the whole oil industry thing, blah blah blah. They are pivoting very hard to plastics-based economics, because they figure that oil is a fuel probably on its way out.
A lot of people think that once we get rid of fossil fuels in our cars and stuff, that we can get rid of oil.
No.
Oil is in everything.
Yeah.
Everything. You try to run a hospital without oil, a lot of people are going to die.
Yeah, there's some things you have to have plastics for, but we could probably get rid of quite a few.
If we're talking about, stringing this horrible experiment along as far as we can until humanity snuffs itself out, only using it for plastic probably buys us a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, fusion reactors in the cars, plastics in the hospitals. That's my platform when I run for political office.
Also, robotic bricklayers. I think everybody could deal with mud brick homes that are built by robots.
A robot bricklayer in every home? I don't think that would work. You only
A
really
chicken
need
in
it
every
once.
pot, a robot bricklayer in every house.
I mean, well, the local appliance rental, like, nobody has a 20-foot lift, but even small towns have a rental place where you can go get a 20-foot lift.
How about a 40 acres and a delivery robot?
Yeah, I'll take it.
That's the guarantee we'll make. Unfortunately, we don't have them here. Actually, we do. But we don't have this brand here because this one's in Korea.
South Korea to allow delivery robots on public roads in 2023.
They don't even pay taxes.
Delivery app Woowa and 7-Eleven start offering services on a trial basis.
They got to make them adorable, right? Krista,
They
do you
are
like
cute.
the design of this one?
They're really cute. Look at his little eyes.
What if they move?
Oh, I was like, of course they got wheels, but no, I don't know about the eyes. They didn't have a video, I don't think.
He's got some robust wheels on him, doesn't he?
Was the delivery robot, the university campuses with delivery robots are popular here in the U.S. are becoming popular. Do we have a nonsense story about the traffic jam of delivery robots?
No, I missed that one.
It was this very similar model. There was some campus and they had a picture, and somebody had carelessly left an e-scooter on like one of the ped walkways.
Didn't know how to move it.
And the delivery robot, there was a delivery robot waiting patiently for it to move, and then behind that delivery robot was another delivery robot, and then another delivery robot, and another delivery robot, and they're all just waiting for the e-scooter to move.
And the
But
man-
it's never going to move.
The man behind that e-scooter, Papa John's driver.
He's a plant.
I'm always amazed when I go to the dentist how technologically advanced all that stuff is back from when we were kids.
Yeah.
They've made some major advancements in dentistry, but it doesn't seem like they're slowing down because this is incredible.
Flagstaff dentist performs a dental implant on himself using robotic technology.
Ugh.
So he was monitoring what the robot was doing, and you still need a dentist. This is not like the automat where you just sit down and it's like, I'd like a number 4 molar, please. But
That's coming.
yeah, this is really, really impressive.
You'll be monitored by a dentist, but it'll be a dentist sitting in front of a bank of monitors. And he'll be monitoring several dental surgeries at the same time.
Probably in another country.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I didn't have any problems with it.
No,
Said it worked
great.
perfectly, and he watched it back, and he was like, you know what? I consider myself a pretty good dental surgeon, but I would not have been this good.
Wow.
Now you might be trying to sell.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, not like it matters to most Americans anyway, because teeth are luxury bones here. But
Where in the world are teeth not luxury bones?
I think Canada actually. There's their luxury bones too. They don't get dental care.
Wow.
I think. Someone will tell us.
Well, Gran Turismo, man, I remember when the PlayStation first came out, just being blown away at the graphical fidelity of Gran Turismo. And you look back on it now, and you're like, what were we thinking? It's so funny. But it was really impressive, even more impressive than that. You turn off all the driving aids, and that was pretty realistic, and at least, relatively. And it turns out it is, to this day, one of the better realistic comparisons to real-world driving, which makes it very useful for this.
AI outraces human champs at the video game Gran Turismo. The program also challenges certain assumptions about self-driving cars. So, yeah, this is this article seemed to talk about using Gran Turismo for regular human drivers to practice, but also the self-driving cars is doing things that human drivers just can't do.
Right, the racing lines.
Yeah.
So really, at this level of simulation and in real race car driving, it's all about maintaining as close to that perfect line as you can. And everybody knows what the line is. The difficulty is that there are other cars also trying to do that. How do you navigate around them and not kill everybody involved? That's what AI couldn't do up until this point, but DeepMind is saying they figured it out. The first round, the humans won in points. They didn't win all the individual races. Second round, humans lost everything. So it's only getting better. The detractors said, yeah, that's a simulated racetrack. There are no scooters left lying on the road.
Or, rain or...
Oops. Actually, there's rain.
Is there rain? They've thought of everything.
There's all weather events in Gran Turismo. Well, space flight. How much does SpaceX or Blue Origin, was that like?
I don't think it was this much. I think it was like $250K.
Well, I thought it was in the millions.
Was it?
I don't remember, honestly.
Too rich for my blood, either way.
Yeah, that's true. Although I think this is the more realistic version. If you're going to want to go to space tourism, I think this is maybe the cheapest.
Virgin Galactic is looking for 1,000 people to buy its $450,000 spaceflight tickets. $150,000 down, $300,000 due on flight day. It's not too much longer, and that's going to be the cost of a weekend at Disney.
Remember that guy who, and this is just, it shows you the level of richness that some people achieve. It's just beyond our comprehension. He put down the deposit for one of those Blue Origin or SpaceX flights, and then the time came and he was like, you know what, I'm busy.
Give it to somebody else. It's fine.
But I saw in this article they said Elon Musk was one of the people signed up for it, and I'm like, will they let him on there, or is he looking for ways to improve SpaceX?
Probably a little
is that
column A,
corporate espionage, or
he's probably just looking for taking a little bit of their spotlight, right? If he shows up at their event, that takes a lot of their shine.
Or Richard Branson's on the flight with him, and it's like, my last mission in life is to take you out, and it just.
Oh man, a zero gravity fight between Elon Musk and Richard Branson that we get to watch later. That's the greatest thing I've
Celebrity
ever heard.
Deathmatch.
It's gonna be live streamed on Twitch with the little guy in the corner with a controller, like faking it. It's like playing Space Billionaire Fighter.
And we have a correction from last week, not a correction, from us, but there was some bad information, and I got to say, this gentleman handled it like a champ. A lot of people would never admit this. He was completely apologetic.
China, not SpaceX, may be the source of the rocket part crashing into the moon. The developer of astronomy software said that Elon Musk's company would cause a new crater on the moon, said he has really gotten it wrong.
Yeah.
So somebody pointed out what he thought is they used the old slingshot around the moon method. No, they didn't do that. So his whole trajectories would have never worked out. And then he sort of worked backwards and said, you know what, I think it was this Chinese part instead. A moon mystery.
Oops. Let's send a robot up there to figure it out.
We already got one up there.
He's got to travel there. It's going to take forever.
And the telescope, it is still transforming, but it has started to look at things, and we've seen the first image. It's a little underwhelming.
Yeah, I scrolled down and was not super impressed, but...
Behold, the first images from NASA's James Webb Space Telescope.
Get ready.
It's blurry text that says "remove before flight."
There it is. That's either a picture of space or a piece of black construction paper someone has poked holes in.
It's black construction paper with aphids on it.
So that's exciting, I guess. Presumably we'll see sharper images in the future. And this is a story.
This is a sad one to end on.
It's one of the darkest things about our modern world. And certainly everybody's experienced technology that has been left to rot. They create it, they give it to you, Google Stadia, and they never do anything with it. And you're like, I bought this and it's useless. This is bad. But it's not as bad as this young lady.
Their bionic eyes are now obsolete and unsupported. Second Sight left users of its retinal implants in the dark. So there's a couple different versions of these. There's about 115 people worldwide that have these retinal implants. It literally allowed blind people to have a kind of vision.
They could sense light.
They could sense a couple of things. They could do well enough to navigate a subway. One of them died. It sounded like the battery just gave out. It's probably a lithium polymer or lithium ion battery. I would bet that just replacing the battery would fix it, probably. But who do you get to work on that?
There's no one, apparently.
And who pays for that? Because they probably paid for it originally because they were testing.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you had like the best of the best work on that, like Louis Rossmann, he probably wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, because if you do it wrong, it's medical technology. It could go very bad.
I don't think that Louis Rossmann is the best of the best when it comes to ocular surgery.
Yeah. Well, it's so the one woman, she said like she was in the subway and then she only had one installed, and she said it just like flickered and turned off.
Yeah.
And then the other guy has two, and he called the place. He's like, oh, I heard I had an upgrade, and they're like, actually, they just fired everybody.
Yeah, you're not getting your upgrade, sorry. And it's just like, eh.
So here's a question.
His is still working though, right?
Yeah, his was still working.
You have to choose between keeping your current level of vision impairment or possibly getting a year or two of limited sight, but then who knows what, and you might be carrying around a useless piece of cybernetics for the rest of your life.
I would probably still do it.
Probably.
It depends on how expensive it was. If they were just paying for it, I'd be like, yeah, why not?
I'd still do it and then see if there's any possible way for me to figure out how to do like blind soldering so that I could do self-maintenance.
Come on.
Yeah.
You're going to be like that dentist?
But you can't see what you're doing. Yeah. I'll just feel.
I mean, I don't know. But I feel bad because the thing that's wrong with the one ladies is probably something really minor. Like there's a high percentage chance that it's not something catastrophic, and you couldn't find anybody to work on it.
She needed to make an account and subscribe.
What about this darkness? What about she's getting on a plane and she goes through the scanner and they're like, oh, no. What is that? She's like, oh, no, it's an eye implant because I have this issue. And I say, okay, cover up your other eye and look at this. But it's dead. It's like, oh, no, it's just dead. It'll never work again. And I'm like, oh, that's an explosive.
And then you never get on a plane. Surely you'd have a medical card or a bracelet or something. I don't know.
She would never be able to protest again. They would just arrest her on site.
But what if her bracelet expires and she can't get another one because this company's gone out of business?
Yeah, she's screwed either way, I think, which sucks.
Oh, the medical industry. It's got some problems.
All right, we will see you guys on Friday for more news.
And nonsense.
Bye.